You're listening to the Peasinner Network. For more great podcasts, go to peasinner.com.au.
Spoiler alert. I mean, honestly, if you listen to this podcast, spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, I definitely want to see him go up against 15. I want to see him up against 15.
Yeah. This episode's bad.
What?
People of the universe, please attend carefully. The message which follows is of vital importance to you all. We present to you a case study of one of the most dangerous minds in the universe.
Brilliant.
A history of the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known as the Master.
The Master. Call me Master.
The choice is simple. Join us and continue listening, or face total annihilation.
Listen.
They are the Master, and you will obey them.
You will obey me.
Please attend carefully. Hello and welcome to Please Attend Carefully, the Doctor Who podcast about the most magisterial of malefactors. I'm Ciarán Moffatt.
I'm Amber Patrick.
And each week we bring you a chapter from the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known universally as the Master. This week we will be looking at the Ascension of the Cybermen a bit and the Timeless Children, a 2020 TV story written by our old friend Chris Chibnall. Amber, tell us, what is it about?
All right, we're dropped into the end of the Great Cyber War with humans struggling to survive as the Cybermen hunt them down. However, the Master is waiting for the right moment to seize power of the Cyberium for himself so that he can create a new Master race. He also has some harrowing truths to reveal to the Doctor about the secret history that the Time Lord culture is built upon.
Harrowing. The truths are harrowing. So this season is all about how the Master deals with the Daleks and the Cybermen, and how he works together with them. This is not the first time the Master has worked with the Cybermen. We're coming in at an interesting point for the Cybermen, the end of the Great Cyber War.
So this is a two-parter right at the end of Series 12 with the 13th Doctor. So the first half we'll talk about a little bit, but that's more Cyberman focused. It's a surprise, I suppose, at the very end that the Master shows up.
Yes.
There's no hint that the Master has anything to do with this story for most of the episode.
So, yeah, we're tying up the don't give the Cyberium to the lone Cyberman, which is very much don't help the Tolians.
Yes, from our previous episode, Unit Dominion.
Yeah.
Where someone comes through with a prophecy. In Dominion, it was the Master himself, and then in this, it was Jack Harkness earlier in the season.
Yes.
Whatever you do, don't let the Doctor give the Cyberium to the lone Cyberman. Got it? That's the only thing that's got to happen.
Just the Cyberium and the lone Cyberman is just like, intriguing nouns. Doctor Who does love an intriguing noun.
Yes. But of course, in the last episode, she gave it to him straight away.
Yeah, straight away to save Percy Bysshe Shelley's life, and he didn't deserve it. The guy was an absolute jerk. In real life, he was an awful person.
So now the Cybermen have the Cyberium, which is, we should talk about what the Cyberium
is sort of a it's a Cyberman supercomputer. It's a Cyberman AI. It's sort of an extension of. I think it's a bit of a whitewash, personally. It is a bit of a whitewash and a redo of Neil Gaiman's concept of the Cyberiad in Nightmare in Silver. So they've basically taken that and just made it a bit... Basically, they've just made it a bit grandiose. Mm-hmm. I'm trying so hard. I'm going to say at this point, and I'm going to leave it in the episode, that I don't like this story. I don't like this season.
Yep.
I don't like how it's written. I don't like how it's shot. I don't like the cinematography. I don't like the editing or the FX. And I'm not saying that because I want to pile on to Chris Chibnall. I'm not. I'm saying that I've watched this series, and it aired in the same year that COVID happened.
Yep.
And this was still the worst thing that happened to me.
Well, big words.
Yeah. Sorry, no, it's the same year that COVID happened and I got divorced. This is still the worst thing that happened to me.
Yes, and you even got COVID before getting COVID was even a thing. You got COVID before the doctors even knew what you had.
That's what you get for working on a main entertainment strip during fringe time. People coughing on you and giving you filthy cash.
That sounds awful, though.
It does sound awful, sorry. Lots of people came and coughed on me and gave me filthy cash. I just think cash is filthy anyway. Anyway.
I think people will like hearing about... I think we should have more personal chat sometimes.
Yeah?
So I think people will like hearing about us as hosts.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So the last great cyber war has been mentioned many times throughout Doctor Who. Most notably, and like big favourite of mine, Revenge of the Cybermen, which doesn't have great Cybermen in it, but has a great story. They're the ones who, like, they don't talk like Cybermen. They talk with an American accent as if they've got their hand over their mouths. It's bad. For audiophiles, I just put my hand over my mouth.
So we jump in right at the end of this.
Yeah.
As in, the Doctor and her companions are racing to the end of the cyber war, knowing that the Cybermen are now in control of the Cyberium.
They do have the Cyberium now, and we find out, shock horror, at the end of Timeless Children, that the nice old Space Moses Irish guy was part of the team that sent the Cyberium back in time to stop the Cybermen having it.
That's right.
Yeah. So the Cybermen in this are interesting. So what we get is
The flying head Cybermen.
Oh.
You said they were interesting.
No,
Did you
not
mean
those bits. Flying heads. Bring back Cybermats, not flying heads. Like, why have we done 2 master stories that feature flying heads?
What was the other one?
Unit Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
The sky heads.
Yeah, because your head's got to fly.
Head's gotta fly. That t-shirt available in our merch store soon. Head's gotta fly. No, so the Cybermen are interesting. So when we meet so obviously we've got General Ashad, who is this sort of half-converted Cyberman who is at odds with himself because he has emotions, but he hates his emotions,
Yes.
which isn't in and of itself an emotion.
And I do love that actually 13 calls this out, because when you're watching it, you're like, should the Cybermen have this much emotion? And she actively says, well, you've got a lot of emotions, don't you? I bet you hate that about yourself, which is, cool to finally see it being drawn to that, the attention to that.
Yeah, I think they could have gone one step further with that character. They could have gone, the film, I hate to bring up Joss Whedon, but the film Serenity, the film ending of Firefly.
I don't like Serenity anyway.
You don't like Serenity?
Nah.
But what I was going to say was, so in Serenity, the killer, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, there's that line that he has in that where he says, I'm a monster. I'm making a better world, and I know there's no place for me in that world. That's what I wanted from Ashad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted Ashad to be like, I'm aware that I am, like, I hate myself. I'm making a better world that I'm not going to live in.
Yep.
But yeah, so the Cybermen that sort of follow him are, we're looking Cybus design Cybermen, but with the cunning, just just plain circular chest plate instead of the C. So, but we get revealed a new type of Cyberman, or a new design of Cybermen, which again, I personally like because they look very Revenge. They've got the big heads.
Yes. They're less round, like the new, RTD era.
Yeah. So
Cybermen.
My problem with those Cybermen, and I'm glad that we're getting to talk about Cybermen and Daleks on this show. I mean, like, I love the Master, but there are so many things about Daleks and Cybermen I want to talk about. So the thing about these Cybermen, new era Cybermen, they've got heads. Classic Cybermen had helmets.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like this new design. It's a flat faceplate instead of a curved one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a curved, rounded one looks like a face. It looks like a head. But a flat one, there's something behind it. And I think I've said this so many times, we need to move away from robot Cybermen to walking corpse Cybermen.
Yes.
Cybermen are at their scariest when they are not going to kill you, they're going to take you over.
Yeah, because there's even a line in this episode, isn't it, where it says, oh, Cybermen stripped of all their emotion and just becoming a killing force. Those are just robots, aren't they? Just plain old boring robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Master has a go at them over that concept.
Yeah, exactly. It's not... robots are not as scary as... Let's call them what they are. Cybermen are zombies.
Yep.
Cybermen, it is zombie fiction.
Yeah. And it is cool. We do get the shots in this episode of Yaz and Graham come up with the plan to hide inside Cybermen armor.
Yeah.
To hide from the Cybermen. And we get the cool sort of looking through the visor, like the eye holes.
Yes.
For them, you know, seeing his eye looking in at them and seeing them inside the armor looking terrified. And yeah, there's some great shots.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I don't like about the design is for some reason they were made spiky. They've got like little...
I don't think I noticed.
They've got like little spikes on their shoulders and on their arms and legs.
Little accents, I suppose.
I don't know. It's makes them look a bit like a cactus. But, you know...
We should kick into the
story. So yeah, we're at the end of the universe, the end of the Great Time War. Humans and Cybermen have almost wiped each other out. There's only small pockets of humans and small pockets of Cybermen left. There's beautiful CG shots of space, the final frontier, filled with bits of Cybermen.
Yes, that's right. And they're bumping into them when they're inside a ship and all.
Yeah.
I do like, so we've got 7 humans left. Is it 7?
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of this story, there's 7 humans left, which we're going to probably get off topic a lot in this episode, but I do like there's always some kind of end to the human race. Like there's Utopia, then there's this where there's only 7 of them left, and we always seem to come to the end of the universe where humans are surviving. But it's taken many different forms. There's been a lot of the end of the universe where there's only some small groups of humans left.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I think it kind of mirrors... And I know we're going to do this story later on in the season. It kind of mirrors The World Enough in Time, like that 2-parter, because we finally get like a canonical explanation of Cybermen that I think we've all kind of known for a while, that the Cybermen are not one race. The Cybermen are inevitable. Any race that has sufficient technology will eventually become Cybermen. They will, if they are desperate enough, they will become Cybermen. They happened everywhere. They happened on Marinus. They happened on Planet 4. They happened on Mondas. They happened on Telos. And I think it's an interesting sort of duality here that humans can always have the potential to become Cybermen, but they also have the potential to go back down to nothing and then come back again. As like in Utopia, the 10th Doctor says, you know, you spend like another million years as downloads and you're living in the cloud, and then you come back and become humans again. Always just basically come back to being human. Yes. It's funny you mentioned Utopia, because humanity have to go find this fabled place that is spoken about in hushed whispers, where they go and they will be safe there.
At least with this portal to the end of to Sanctuary or to somewhere else.
Somewhere else.
It is true. At least there actually is a portal that you do get to and you do go somewhere else.
I did like it's basically a rift, isn't it? It's a rift in space and time, which it moves around apparently. And so people step through it and they might be safe, they might not. Like that's a good concept. Like I like you're either certain death or uncertain death. Which do you pick?
Yep.
But because it's a rift basically in time and space, I just like the idea of like human beings from the end of the universe just popping up in Cardiff.
Yes, just
like someone in the middle of Cardiff Centre, just like, what happened? Where am I? It's like, bloody Torchwood.
So they all get to this. We can skip past.
We can skip all of this. Yeah.
They all get in their own means. They get separated, but then in the end, they all get in their own means to this rift with Space Moses, who's guarding the portal and leading humans to it when they arrive and sort of gatekeeping it for them.
Yep.
And they're all standing at the portal, staring into it. And here comes our boy.
Yep.
So Gallifrey appears in the rift, and the Master jumps out.
Yep. And ta-da! Very sort of... Sorry, I started sniggering because I was just like, the Doctor Who fandom knows a lot about gatekeeping.
How is Gallifrey here?
Wow! Oh! It's a good entrance, right? Be afraid, Doctor. Because everything is about to change. Forever.
Yeah, so the Master turns up. So we know where the Cybermen are now.
Yes.
The Cybermen, like what they're like, what sort of stage they're at. They have this Cyberium, and they also have the particle.
That's right, the death particle.
The death particle, which will destroy all organic matter, leaving Cybermen as just robots.
Yes.
So, the Master comes through and says to the Doctor, "Come with me if you want your friends to live."
Can you re-edit this scene in audio so that we hear the portal and everything, and it comes through and we just hear, "Hello, you."
Yes, I can probably do that, actually. Yes. Editor me, do that now.
How is Gallifrey here?
Hello, you! Meet you from eons along your timeline.
How are you here?
Well done, me.
No worries, me. You're doing a wonderful job, by the way.
Yes. So the Master's like, "Come with me if you want your friends to live." And the Doctor goes.
I do love. I have a note for this.
You have a note for this?
So we've moved on now. We're in the Timeless Children episode.
We are now in the Timeless Children episode.
Start of episode 2, straight back on their bullshit flirting in front of everybody. Like, it's the end of the world. There's like the last humans of humanity left. They're all standing there. This guy comes through in this incredible purple suit, looking very extra. And he's like, "Oh, hello, Doctor." And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And suddenly this intense sort of energy between them. And you're like, really? In front of everyone now? Like, they have no like concept of public displays of affection.
So yeah, they're now on Gallifrey in what's left of the Capitol. We mentioned a previous episode, which was like the Spyfall episode, but at the beginning of this season, the Master has killed all of Gallifrey.
Yep.
He's destroyed all of Gallifrey, and this is where we find out why.
Yes.
So he went into the Matrix, the repository of all Time Lord knowledge, and which is interesting because he's already been there. Like, if you remember Trial of a Time Lord, the Master was hiding inside the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
He's just sort of chilling in there. I mean, it's...
Just imagine them with a broom. Get out of there.
The Master's in the crawl space again.
I hate it when he gets in there.
So yeah, he's in the Matrix again, which is... Look, I don't know why the BBC never sued the Wachowskis, but... it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So yeah, the Master's been in the Matrix, and he discovered the truth that the Doctor is not a Time Lord. That the Doctor is in fact the timeless child, who was a child found is an interesting word, abducted by someone. Tecteun, yes, and then through an accident died and then regenerated. And
Who let those children play on that cliff top?
Yeah, right. Right.
Sorry, just...
And like, was the other kid meant to be the Master? Like,
well, no, because that would be way too early in history.
So I don't know. So yeah, two kids playing. Doctor falls off a cliff, regenerates, and then Tecteun experiments on the child.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
It is pretty awful.
We find out that then she discovers the power of regeneration and how to infuse that in herself.
Yes.
Tecteun.
So yeah, the Doctor is technically the building block of Time Lord society. I don't want to look too heavily into this. Let's look at the Master. So taking that as read, the Master finds out that the entirety of Time Lord society, its recognized history, is a lie, and finds out that everything he is because of the Doctor. Whether they have a love-hate relationship or a love-love relationship or something, I think this story really exemplifies how much of an inferiority complex the Master has.
Yeah, definitely. He can't deal. he went as far as to just kill everyone on Gallifrey rather than confront the idea that that's just how life is for him.
Yeah.
Like-
And as we pointed out in the Spyfall episode when we talked about that, and I think we need to talk about it more here, is the fact that the Master destroyed Gallifrey. He killed all the Time Lords. Didn't make him feel any better.
Yeah,
Like-
she even says that. Do you feel better? Has it quelled the anger within you? And he says, no, I don't think anything ever will.
Yeah. This, I think, is the Master at his lowest, this story. Like, when he, skipping forward a bit, where he shrinks a shard with the death particle, he's like, oh, it didn't go off. I thought it might go off. That might have been a bit easier.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if it had
I wouldn't have
happened.
minded if it had just ended. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, this story, I think, is about the Master trying to come to terms with, like the Doctor created the Time Lords, in essence, is what he feels. And so he's trying to create something better.
Yeah.
Like, so he's trying to be as good as the Doctor, while at the same time trying to bring the Doctor down to his level.
Yeah. I just want to build on that point you said about him being at his lowest. I think we do see a similar moment, which we'll discuss later, is when the Saxon Master discovers what Rassilon did to him with the drumbeat.
Yeah.
And he's willing to kill himself and drag Rassilon back into the Time War as a punishment. You know, like the Doctor steps in and saves him, but he is in that moment willing to do that because it's, that discovery that something has been done to him that was out of his control and he couldn't do.
Yeah.
But this is just like that idea taken and really pushed to its absolute limit.
It's interesting you say that. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a story, because I think you are absolutely right there. And I think what I would love to see is a story where the Master has genuine fear, because I think one thing the Master fears is not having control, is having his agency taken away. Which, let's face it, is a fear that most of the population has, really. Like, not to take anything away from any subs listening in the audience, but
wow, that was not the transition anyone was expecting.
But like, I want to see a story where he's genuinely scared at having, part of himself taken away.
I thought if he was compressed, the death particle would activate. All this would be over. I would have been okay with that. I thought it was a nice little gamble, but no, here we are. All still alive.
So while the Master is plumbing the depths of the Matrix with the Doctor, don't look at me like that. You give me grins like that, and I've made comments about subs. Anyway, or switches. I don't know. While he's doing that, he's invited the Cybermen to Gallifrey. You've always wanted to come, haven't you? It's sunny, it's sandy, it's
Yeah, do what your predecessors have never managed to do. Be the first Cybermen to ever set foot on Gallifrey.
And the big ship goes through the portal,
Yeah.
and then it parks. I saw it just sort of land on top and like crush part of the Citadel, and in my head I was just like, remember where we parked?
Remember where we part? Yeah, fantastic. And so he's got the Doctor trapped, like within some hula hoops that are LED.
the glowing hula hoops. The glowing hula hoops of Rassilon.
Don't know how to describe it. I don't think I ever finished my point about Sim and
oh, sorry, I thought you had.
No,
it was a great point.
Yeah, but I was going to go into more. It's that, imagine that. So the Master's found out that the drumbeat in his head is because Rassilon wanted to escape the Time War. So that was a lie his whole life.
Yeah.
And then to find out, get past that, new regenerations, moved on, and then to find out completely undermined again that your existence is based upon the one person that you're obsessed with, but you always are trying to be better than, but you now can't because there is this prime being that you are like a hybrid of.
Yeah.
He's really getting kicked.
Don't bring the hybrid into it again.
It's really getting kicked while he's down constantly.
See, my big problem with the Timeless Child is that I think the Doctor works best and is more motivating as a character when the Doctor is an ordinary person.
The example.
Who is chosen to be the
Yeah.
example. The ordinary person who is chosen to be better. Like, the Doctor is it's just the figurehead of, you can do this if you want to. But yeah, the whole thing about, Doctor, you always acted like you were different, and now I find out you are different.
Yeah, I think that dialogue is just like the Master just being a shit, like trying to justify in any way possible why this is a problem for them.
Yeah.
You know, like the Master could have been concerned, and maybe a different version of the Master like Delgado would have been. Maybe Missy would have been angry on behalf of the Doctor for everything that was done to them. But this one is then petulant about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Missy might have just been angry and killed all the Time Lords because she didn't like that they did that to the Doctor.
Yeah.
Different Doctors would have had a different take on this, and it's funny that it's Dhawan because he just has the biggest tantrum.
Like, the Master is basically, I don't know, psychically talking to the Doctor in the Matrix, or has left an imprint of himself in the Matrix. It's not really explained. And then, of course, yeah, the Doctor goes through the whole thing of like going back through time, and they show the scene from the brain of Morbius, which I remember when the whole Timeless Child thing came out, and someone was just like, they were trying to tell me, yeah, but there was a fourth Doctor story where I'm just like, child, don't try and tell me I was there when that deep magic was written. Okay.
Going back to the
Cybermen.
Cybermen.
Yep.
Question for you.
Yes.
Is this the first time that the Master and Cyberman have had sexual tension?
How can you have sexual tension with a Cyberman?
He does it.
I mean, a shard. Sure. Well, this is the thing.
He manages it.
It's an interesting point. So Cybermen obviously can't have emotion, right?
Yeah.
They have to have it completely suppressed. That doesn't make for good, like, character thing. Like, it doesn't really work to bounce off of, like, something completely emotionless.
Actually,
so that's why you have characters like a shard. Like, a shard is there so you actually have someone you can emote at.
Yeah, you can still see a part of his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I should probably reframe. I think he has sexual tension with the death particle. Like, he's all up in that. He's up on the shard's face, and there's heavy breathing, and he's like really turned on, and like, oh, the particle. I just want to get that part, like, you know. That's what happens in the scene. Don't laugh.
You know, you're right. You're right.
A death particle. One particle, when activated, capable of destroying all organic life.
Very nice.
Side note, I've talked before about how you make the Daleks scary again. But, like, how do you make the Cybermen scary again? You make them... You stop this delete nonsense. I hate it.
Get rid of the catchphrase.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think to make the Cybermen scary again, what you need is a story where the Cybermen are kind. Where they think that what they're doing is in your best interests.
Mm-hmm.
We're helping you.
Yeah.
That's how you make that, like... We're helping you whether you want it or not. Like, we're taking your agency away. Like, we know better than you. That's how you make the Cybermen scary again.
Yeah, that whole... It's a trope that's been done before, but it can be done well within the Cyberman thing of that. Just, well, upgrading to this and getting rid of those pesky emotions is good for us.
Yeah.
If we're all the same, there'll be no war. You know, there'll be no sickness.
Yeah, it's what. Yeah, look, it is. It's a classic trope, but it's like it is the whole machine. Like, we're saving you from yourself.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to be saved. No, we're saving you from yourself.
yeah.
Or you just go the Borg route where they're just like just walking around, like totally silent and menacing. Okay, so the Master is dealing with a shard and the Cybermen. He goes to the ship and sees that the troop ship has got hundreds of millions of Cybermen. He shrinks a shard.
Which is a bit anticlimactic for a shard. I think poor shard actually deserved maybe a bit better than just being TCE'd.
Well, he does come back not in this story.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry.
He comes back in the only other Dhawan story.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Which we will,
Power of the Doctor. We'll get there. Which has both Daleks and Cybermen. But I almost had it in this season. Then I was just like, but then we've done all of the Spy Master. Okay, so the Siberium. The Siberium is now inside the Master.
Yes, because he shrinks a shard, and then he's like, "Well, Siberium, who's going to be your new daddy? This guy."
And then he does a little dance.
Yes, as it's going, he does a bit of a.
Ooh.
This master loves to dance.
Yeah.
Most of them love to dance.
I'm trying to imagine Delgado dancing.
He would dance in like a formal way, I think.
Oh, yeah. Ambassador. Yeah,
Yeah, like on a ballroom
Ambassador,
floor or
you
something.
spoil us. May I write my name on your dance card, madam? Who would lead? Who would lead? The Third Doctor or Delgado?
Third Doctor.
He would lead.
I don't think he's just taller and just has that
Okay.
the more dominating presence of the dance floor.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
I think I'd rather see Delgado and Joe dance together. They can have a really menacing conversation as they dance together, and you could be like, "Well, you don't know where the Doctor is, do you?" Stop! I'm writing fiction in real time.
Amazing. Yeah, I can see it playing out in my head. Wonderful. Yes. Okay. So with the Siberium and with the Cybermen, so this Siberium, this battle computer that can see 20 steps ahead and can control the Cybermen, he uses the refrigerated corpses of the Time Lords and these Cybermen to create his Cyber Masters, which I hate.
Oh, really?
I hate them so much.
I mean, I think given the amount of things we've had throughout the entire series, I think they look fine. And it's like, yeah, that's a natural conclusion of
Look
like...
at them closely. Okay, so, right. You know how Cybermen have, like, circular eyes, and they've got, like, the little teardrop thing. On these, they're directly below.
Okay.
And the mouths, instead of being flat, curl down. So they've got grumpy faces.
Yeah, but that's, I think, also in line with what Sacha Dhawan's vision for this version of the Master is. He has said that his Master, he plays him as a sad clown. That's his vision for this, how he plays this. So I kind of think that stylistic choice fits in his vision.
I also dislike the fact that their Time Lord collars are just on the back of their head.
Yeah.
So when they turn their head, they're just like, it's still there.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with them. I think, given what this is,
It just it
they
reminds
look
me.
fine.
It reminds me of the Rocketeer. Like I imagine them turning their heads and let them like flying off in a different direction.
I am sad that all of the Time Lords are dead when Moffatt brought them all back.
Like he did, Moffatt did such due diligence, working like long hours to undo all of the things that Russell T Davies did, and not in a bad way. It's just like finally we'll get the Time Lords back, like you know. And also he very clearly set it up so that the Sisterhood of Cant could be in charge, and maybe the Time Lords would be a bit darker. And then Chibnall was like, nah. Like if Moffatt hadn't done that, right, would Chibnall have had to bring them back only to have the Master destroy them again?
No, you ride around that. You find your own way, I suppose. But it is also like we've got Russell T Davies again, so Chibnall return it back to the status quo that Russell T Davies originally set for himself, so he can, without any changes to canon, keep going from where he left off. Now, I have some questions for you. This is probably going extra content. Did the Sisterhood of Cant survive the Master's wrath?
It's a good question, isn't it? I think you can probably have some Time Lords survive, because I think the Sisterhood could probably foresee it. And
we also know that Rassilon, get off this planet, old man, in the last episode.
But he does turn up in a comic, whether or not that counts as canon.
I'm not going to look into the
He
comics.
turns up in a comic and he takes the Siberi ad and becomes the next head of the Cybermen.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I know. It's
I'm going to say no comics for me, so...
Yeah.
The last we saw of Rassilon...
Also, I will say, like, Rassilon taking over as head of the Cybermen and using the Cybermen to take over Gallifrey and convert to Time Lords did come out before.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, presumably they aren't all the Time Lords. Like, there's also some renegades. I guess we could assume the monk is somewhere else.
The monk is like a cockroach.
Yeah.
But no, I reckon, yeah, probably the like off the top of my head, I could save the Time Lords, or at least several of the Time Lords. I mean, you need to look at the soothsayer that the Time Lords had in the Time War, like, who looks very much like the soothsayer from the Ribos operation, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he creates these Cybermasters, which are Cybermen in gold with capes. Capes. Why capes?
Because the Time Lords have big flowing like robe things. They're just new designs. I think you're overreacting, but anyway. For what they are, I think they're designed fine.
I like them less than the new paradigm Daleks. And
Okay.
people hate those things. So
My only thing that I will say is, how do they regenerate if they're dead? And then, like, because they're a race of regenerating Cybermen, but they're all Time Lords who are dead. And why didn't the Time Lords regenerate? And then why can they now regenerate? Anyway.
yeah. Yep. Okay.
The Master's clever. That's the new get out.
I did keep the bodies. Just cold enough in case they'd be useful. I thought maybe some good can come out of all of this. A new race could be created.
The Doctor manages to escape the Matrix that the Master has trapped her in.
Yes, with cunning use of the theme tune.
Is that the first time the theme tune's been used in show?
Oh, you're testing me here. I think it might be.
Yeah, it really caught me off guard. It took me out at the knees when it's just like, give him a blaster, this one. And I was like, oh my God, I was not prepared for the theme song. I forgot that it happened.
So yeah, the Doctor gets out of the Matrix. The regenerating Cybermen are there.
She goes onto the cyber ship. She escapes.
Yeah.
And she gets the
Ashard. Yeah.
Yeah, the little Ashard with the death particle inside him.
So
and gets
all the humans.
Yeah.
Including Space Moses. And they all set...
Koshamus. His name is Koshamus.
Koshamus. There we go. We got there in the end. Only at 53 minutes, but that's fine.
She actually doesn't want them there. She's like, nope, no humans on Gallifrey. Get out.
Which is a bit parochial.
Yeah.
Like,
she's none of you allowed here. Leave.
It's so stupid because, like, the Doctors in past, their only problem has been that the Time Lords do not allow humans.
Yeah.
Even though... if we're counting the humans that have been to... Nissa got to go, but then again, she wasn't human. Livchenko's been.
Ace, obviously.
Ace has been, yeah. Yeah, there's a few of them.
Yeah,
basically.
but she doesn't want them there, so she obviously sends them away because her new plan is to take one of Koshamus's bombs that he has, put the death particle...
Like, strap it to it
Yeah.
and go in there and threaten the Master. And the Master's just like, go on,
Yeah,
man.
he's basically...
I don't care at this point.
Yeah, his performance in this, he's basically begging her. He, like, puts his head on her hand and like says, become me, become death.
Well, again, like, this is what I said before. Like, he is trying to become her and drag her down to his level.
Yeah, which we also know Missy was trying to do as well in the last season. That's a pretty fun theme of the, I'm going to make you worse so that I don't feel bad.
I think we can comfortably say at this point, like, this is evidence that quite a lot of what the Master does is out of an inferiority complex.
Yeah. And now he has proof. Now it's not even internalized within him as an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
Now the inferiority complex is realized in fact.
Yeah.
You are inferior to this being. The Doctor isn't even a Time Lord.
Yeah. And this is so obviously, like, in the giggle, there was the tooth. We know the Master is coming back. How is that going to look?
Yeah.
How is their dynamic now? Like, what is there for them after this?
I think, and we have to assume, I think at this point, that it's Dhawan still. That's what I'm going to assume for this next bit. That we come back with Dhawan, but we almost do like oh, that was all a laugh, wasn't it? Like, oh, it's me. It's cheeky me, the master, and I'm back, and now I'm up to some more mischief like I'm always up to. Like, how did Sim bounce back from finding out that Rassilon ruined his entire life and he was a puppet to...
I mean, that's true, but we didn't see him facing off against Rassilon. Like, how can the master keep looking at the Doctor now? Like, how do they...
Sexily.
How did they get past that? Look,
Ncuti and Dwan together, they're going to have so much fun, I think. That you just play for that angle. You just play for that fun... scheming side of the two of them.
Look, I get that, but I don't know how do you get rid of that hate? Like, how do you write around that hate of, I can't, every time I look at you, I see how shit I am. Like,
yeah,
we've all had shit relationships, people. Like, come on, like, how do we...
Yeah, but you move past it.
True, but I feel like there's something so visceral here.
Yeah, and...
This is the problem with Chibnall and this situation. It's not so much the situation in and of itself. It is that he dropped the nuke.
Yeah.
How do you rebuild after that? You've nuked it. Like,
I also think like a similar comparison in another media franchise is Marvel when they did the snap or the blip, as they then called it, where 50% of the world universe died and then they all came back. Well, what do we do about this? The answer is apparently nothing. Apparently you just pretend it didn't happen and you make a few attempts to say about it. But after that, you just stop mentioning if your characters... There are films where you don't even know if the new characters you're meeting were blipped. That's important information for character building. No, doesn't matter. You don't need to know that. Just move on with the film. But I will say that doesn't work because you say, well, you need to commit to your nuke. If you're going to nuke... you should probably be willing to deal with the fallout, but Marvel weren't. So yes, it will be interesting because we have seen that, at least the Doctor has mentioned being, but it was a joke. Oh, I'm adopted. Like that was their take on the timeless child thing. Yeah. I'm adopted too,
Yeah.
So I do know what you mean though.
And of course, like, not to talk too much about, power of the Doctor, but the whole thing is like an extension of this story. It is the master wanting to be the Doctor, like, and also failing at it because the master can't be the Doctor because he doesn't understand how to do it. But like,
I think to answer like what you were saying, what do you do? Rest him for a while, I think is the answer. We probably shouldn't see the master for a little while. Like rest that character away, and that way when you reintroduce them, we're not so hot on the, coming off of that. And it's a bit of a distance between it, and you could probably seamlessly introduce him without the consequences of that, maybe. Whether or not it'll be good, I trust that Russell T Davies will execute it. But it could be time, and it won't ever be. But what about the meddling monk? What if we get him as a rival for a little while? Can we have that character back to fit the lighter tone of what RTD's doing?
Yeah.
And then after a little while, the master comes back for real. Who knows? But I think it's one of those wait and sees.
It feels like a cul-de-sac to me.
Yeah.
It feels like it's like, how do you come back from it? It's, the only way to come back from it is basically to ignore it, which is just a bit shit.
Yeah. Or we don't know. Maybe, if Sacha Dhawan returns, he might have ways in which he thinks the characterization of the master comes to terms with it or, deals with it. And we're also, we know we're going to get some audios with him, so.
It's true, but as we assume, they're most likely going to be set in the 77 years on Earth.
Yeah.
You can see why I'm angry. A little piece of you is in me. All I am is somehow because of you, and believe me when I say I cannot bear that.
So she won't push the button. He calls her bluff.
Yeah.
She won't do it. And he's like, well, I knew you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And if you did, I wouldn't give a shit.
But here comes Space Moses.
Yes, Koshamas runs in and's like, yes, I'm the reason this all happened because I sent the Siberian back in time, so I'll sacrifice myself. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, she takes very little convincing.
Yeah.
They found a random TARDIS. We
yeah,
mentioned it. That's just right. A random.
Yeah, it's Gallifrey, sure.
They're just lying around. Yeah.
Well, unless he left a TARDIS there.
No, because it's the It's the generic look TARDIS. It's the TARDIS that's like the look that they used earlier in the season for the Fugitive Doctor's TARDIS.
Right.
They don't show it from the outside. Oh, actually, no, they do.
It's a tree.
It's a tree. Yeah, it's a tree when it lands because Chameleon Circuit works.
Yeah.
So the explosion goes off, and you can very clearly hear the Master go, "You lot through here now." It's like, well done, well done, well done.
Yeah. So he's found a hiding spot, and there's
a TARDIS there. There's bound to be a TARDIS there somewhere.
Yes. So he gets in there with some of them, and that's the end.
It's the end of the story.
The Doctor takes a moment. The others have gone home in the TARDIS, and she takes a moment to sort of recoup herself. And she's promptly arrested by the Jadoon. We leave no time to breathe. Jail.
I love the Jadoon. I do. I hate that the figure was all we got from this season, but I find them hilarious because Nicholas Briggs does all the monster voices, and this is the only one that he doesn't use any filters for.
Right.
And yeah, he says awful whenever they come on.
Bojo go Boro.
Like it's literally right down the back of your throat. It's a pain.
So we should talk about Sacha Dhawan's performance in this episode.
Sacha Dhawan's performance is masterful as usual. I mean, he's brilliant. He's genuinely brilliant. He looks tired.
Yeah, he does.
Don't you think he looks tired? He looks tired.
He has that really sort of crazy, flicking from anger to excitement to sorrow. He really slides up and down the spectrum of emotion really quickly.
Someone ain't been taking their meds.
As you can see from the many GIFs that I post.
You did. So we have a Discord where we discuss these things. You can't join, sorry. And Heather was just like, I'm going to put in some GIFs because that's easier than taking notes. Going and finding GIFs is easier than taking notes?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Because he has so many emotions that I couldn't sit and pause the episode every time he did a facial expression or a line read or something that I thought was noteworthy of the Master's performance and characterization. So I ended up just going to Tumblr and just Googling the Timeless Children tag and just finding the moments in GIF form that I thought were brilliant as a way to help me know what I liked from this episode. Because, it's just so visual. And
of all the things we've said in this episode, the one thing I think we can both agree that we enjoyed most, as usual, is Sacha Dhawan's performance.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And also Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor up against him, because these two are perfect for each other, especially the moment where they're in the Matrix and she's like, "What did you see?" And she tackles him to the ground and they're squabbling around and he's laughing because he's reduced her to screaming and jumping on him. It's really fun but dangerous at the same time. These two are sort of shameless in the way they show off their close relationship to one another, in that there's no composure in it. Delgado and 3 would never, right? Apart from the sword fight, they don't lose their composure around each other. These two are so connected that she can push him into the dirt and scream at him.
It's kind of like kids, isn't it? It's it's like the shit kid who is winding up the other one, repeatedly winding them up and up and up and up and up until they snap. And it's shit because then that's according to the rules of whatever that is, if you snap, you've lost.
Yes.
I suffered from that a lot as a kid. My siblings would wind me up and up and up and up and up, and then I would snap, and then that. No, you're wrong now. You've snapped.
Yeah. He
should
laughs.
Should have been more clues that I was autistic, really.
Yeah, he's on the ground and she's angry and screaming at him and he's laughing in her face because this is it. This is all he can do because he has no control. The only control he has is to make her angry.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he knows how to do. It's the only thing he can achieve, apart from maybe killing them all. But he's not going to do that. He's never going to kill her.
Yeah.
There is a fantastic point where she's like, "I'll do whatever you say. I'll stay here. Please just let my friends leave. Let them survive." And he's like, oh, you're trying to appeal to my better nature. Well, no, see, no, because I'm not going to do that. I don't give a shit about them. And he has that control in that moment where he's like, oh, all you care about is your friends? Well, sorry, I don't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
He's also very disheveled in this. Like, his hair was quite neat in Spyfall.
Yeah.
And it's all just flat and, like,
Down
all
in
over
his
his
eyes.
face. Yeah.
He's got like red, like dark red circles under his eyes.
And, like, he also relishes in having that information that she doesn't. He's like, I know stuff that you don't know. And she's like, you tell me who the timeless child is. And he's like, oh, well, it's you. Like, he says it almost a bit condescending, like, in a way that's
Have
like,
you
oh,
worked that out yet?
yeah, I mean, I know it's you. Like, it's like, yeah, you know, because you saw it. Or, like, you know, he...
Yeah. What is it? The definition of someone who's ignorant is someone who doesn't know something that you only learned 5 minutes ago.
So, yeah, he just... I think you were right before. Kids. These two are kids. And they even reference them being kids a lot in this. And it really ties into that image of they were once children together. These two are still children. And the name of the episode is The Timeless Children. They are always like this. They have always been this way. Despite all the adventures they've had together, they've never grown up. They're actually more mature back in their earlier generations than they are now.
It's interesting, isn't it? There's that wonderful line in Time Crash, the mini episode set between the end of season 3 and where the 10th Doctor meets the 5th Doctor. And he says, when I was young, I spent all my time trying to be old and important, like you do when you're young.
Yep.
Which I think is, and again, that was written by Stephen Moffat. That is a wonderfully insightful comment because, yeah, when you're a kid, you spend so much time trying to be old and important. I'm in my mid-30s and I'm more of a kid now than I ever was.
Yeah. I also do like in Time Crash the line where it's like, oh, the master, has he still got that
Rubbish beard? No beard this time. Well, a wife.
Yeah. Love that. Love how self-aware that line is.
Oh, look at me. I'm the Doctor. I can save the universe with a kettle and some string. Also, look out. I'm wearing a vegetable.
I think that might be it, unless you have anything else to say about their performances. I think he nails it, you know. I think he's probably the only master.
He's a very physical master.
He is. The way he dances around sometimes, and he, as we mentioned before, that sort of maybe neurodivergent master, in that he is very erratic in his movements when he gets excited. Like he just can't control himself and he has to like spin around or jump or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a wonderful performance, and I'm glad it was Sacha Dhawan handling it. Anyone else, it would have been a complete mess.
Yeah, I think that's, for me, as it is with nearly all of Chibnall's work, the best parts of this that I enjoy the most are the performances by the characters.
Yeah.
And they're believable, and the characters and the actors clearly care and are invested and are bringing their most to this character. And Jodie and Sacha both really bring it in this episode, both in the narrative and in their character emotional scenes together.
Come on, ask me why I did this.
Why did you do this?
Not telling you. Oh, crack a smile.
Proud of yourself?
Definitely.
All this death finally made you happy?
Ecstatic.
And has it calmed all the rage?
I don't think anything will ever do that.
Okay, Ciarán, were you attending carefully?
Yeah. Look, bits of it. We'll see.
Right. What are the master's lines of dialogue in episode 1?
Like, literally the only thing he says. No idea.
No?
No, he says, "Come with me. Take my hand." He says, "Take my hand."
Nope. That's in episode 1. He bursts through the portal.
It says, "Oh, that was impressive," or something.
Hell of an entrance, Doctor.
Hell of an entrance. That's right. Here we go.
And then he says, "Be afraid, Doctor, because everything is about to change."
Right. Okay.
All right. What poem by Percy Shelley does the master reference in The Ruins of Gallifrey?
Literally the only poem that anyone ever references from Percy Shelley, which is Ozymandias.
It is.
Yeah. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and tremble. Is that what he actually said?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, it is.
Look upon my work, Doctor, and despair.
What does the Master describe as the best of times?
Oh, God, is it the Axons, the Autons, the Sea
No.
Devils?
No.
Our school days on Gallifrey, our academy days, hiding from Barusa.
No, those aren't the best of times. He does mention that. But the best of times are graduating and assassinating presidents together.
Yes. Oh, I knew there was a reference to the Deadly Assassin.
We had some fun there, didn't we? Hey? Graduated. Assassinated presidents. The best of times.
Right. What does the Master say when the Cybermen is entering him? And I mean entering him.
Yes. I know, because it ends on like a really chilling laugh. Like, I really thought I'd picked the things that you thought were going to be, but no.
You can ask me back those things.
Okay, fine.
No, he says, at least buy me a drink first.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. That was quick.
At least buy me.
You're going to hate this one.
Yep.
But were you attending carefully? During the Matrix montage, which Master appears on the opposite side of the screen to all the others?
On the opposite side of the screen to all the others.
So all the Masters flash up on the right-hand side, but one of them appears prominently on the left-hand side. Which one?
See, it flashes so quickly in that scene, because I remember seeing, like, all I could really make out was Catnun at one point, and also the Morbius doctors that flash up, which were members of the production team at the time, including Philip Hinchcliffe, I'm pretty sure. So if it's on the left, is it Delgado?
It is.
It is Delgado. Okay, cool.
Yes. So 1 out of 5.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Oh, no, 2. But you got the Ozymandias poem. 2 out of 5. Would you like to ask me some questions in return for your revenge?
Sure. When the Master knocks through, what is he going to build?
Oh, yes. I nearly made this a question. It's things like patio or sauna or wet room.
Oh, you got one of them.
Sauna?
No, wet room.
Wet room. Yeah, I don't remember.
Wet room, screening room, and torture room.
Screening room and torture. Yeah, that's right. You know what? I didn't make that the question because I knew. I was like, he's going to think that I'm going to make that one. Oh, but I...
Okay,
yeah.
What titles does the Master give to Cybermen being sent after the humans?
Oh, I nearly...
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why you thought this was one. Yeah, because he's like Death Squad or human exterminators or... No, it wasn't that. Yeah, it's like two word, like...
Yeah.
And then it's not that.
It's not that, but it's another 2-word thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he suggested Death Squadron, Deletion Squad, or Recruitment Patrol. And General Ashard calls them Execution Units.
Yeah. Well, I was close. I got the wrong words, but I was on the right.
Yeah, you were on track.
Yeah.
Now do you see how I feel?
Yeah.
Like how I feel every week, Amber? Okay.
Kill count.
Oh, yeah, kill count. Give us a kill count.
Is, well, all of Gallifrey.
All of Gallifrey.
And Ashard. Oh, and then he orders one of the Cybermen to kill one of the other Cybermen, and they do it.
If we start looking into individual Cybermen or individual Daleks, are we really gonna... I don't know.
But this is probably the deadliest TV appearance because he's killed all of he's basically genocided a race. So this is Big Finish levels of massacre.
Yeah, fair enough.
But makes sense. He's just discovered a secret.
And of course it happened all off screen.
Yeah, but it's just discovered a secret that undermines his existence. So he's angry. He's an angry boy.
So what does he do? He's just like, you know what? I've been putting this off for too long.
Yeah, now
I'm going to kill everybody in the world. I'm sure that's how Hitler started.
Wow.
What a bastard. And he was a vegetarian and a painter, so he must have been going, I can't get the fucking trees. Damn, I will kill everyone in the world.
If you don't like my paintings, then fine. See how you like.
That was an Eddie Izzard bit. Okay. Amber, what have we learned?
A lot. This is lore heavy. There's a lot of talking about lore in this episode.
It's almost like there's a lot of talking and not enough showing.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this would have been a better book. I need to say it somewhere because I haven't said it yet. I think this would have been a phenomenal book if you took scenes of the Timeless Child without any context being found, raised, experimented on, then the scenes in Ireland, and then the scenes later on. I think a phenomenal book that was slower in paced, internal monologues. Would have loved it. Absolutely. I think I would have devoured it. Anyway, what have we learned? The Master killed everyone when he discovered that their society was built on experimentation of the Doctor.
Mm.
And so he's got all their blood on his hands. And he still doesn't feel any better. It doesn't help him. It doesn't quiet, the rage inside him. Despite having murdered everyone to try and, feel better, what do? Fuck with the Doctor some more. Back to tried and tested only thing I know how to do. Drag the Doctor into a situation where I can make their life hell. Back to old reliable. And that's the only way he knows how to express himself and try to get some control. I guess a little bit of control in a scheme is good than no control.
Well, yeah. Take control of what you can take control of.
Yeah. She won't be able to resist what I have to, the tantalizing secrets that I have to give her. So she'll come along and then I'll have her in control. So that's better than nothing. The Master uses the bodies of the Time Lords to create the Cybermasters.
Yes, he does.
The Master, once again, is reaching out to these huge, powerful factions and working with them. We saw that Ainley episode, which we, if we'd been planning ahead, we would have saved
it
for this season, but we haven't. He was willing to work with the Cybermen at the drop of a hat to just get through.
It did seem, though, that the Cybermen in this case, the Master, it was part of his plan to work with them.
Yes.
Whereas, of course, in the Five Doctors, the Master is mugging furiously.
Yeah.
He is I came here. I was looking for you. It's just nursing a headache. And it's just his head's on fire and he's still lying profusely to a bunch of psychopaths.
Yes. We've learned that the Cybermen really should just have knowledge of who the Master is and be like, nope, not to be trusted.
No, not dealing with you. Not anymore.
We've learned that he survives as well. We heard that everyone come through here,
Yeah.
He had an out planned, as he always does. When in doubt, just run out of shot.
Yes. They couldn't show him running out of shot, though.
The same as Frontier in Space that we recently talked about. Just run out of shot and you're fine.
Yeah. Look, I know we talked about Frontier in Space. It's just such an ignominious way for him to die. For him to never be seen again.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That feels like someone fucked up the edit, but that's a different story.
We've already discussed
that.
We've learned that Sacha Dhawan is a phenomenal actor and really sort of understands the brief of this regeneration of the Master and how he's made it his.
Mm. Yes, I hope he comes back. I desperately want him to come back.
Yeah, I definitely want to see him go up against 15. I want to see him up against 15.
Yeah. This episode's bad.
What?
It's a lot of that.
What? Just because we've got the Siberian going inside him and the Master and the Doctor rolling around on the ground together and...
Okay. I think that's it. I think...
You're going to stop this before it gets too silly? Just play that Monty Python.
Stop that. It's too silly. That's all for this week's episode of Please Attend Carefully. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that with each new episode you come to understand, appreciate, and maybe even obey the Master. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be updated on new episodes. Amber, how can listeners get in contact with us?
Well, they can email us at pleaseattendcarefully@gmail.com, send us an ask on Tumblr at pleaseattendcarefully, or follow us on Instagram at pleaseattendcarefully. You can also find out more on our website, pzinner.com.au/shows/attend.
That's right. And as of this series, you can also find our episodes on YouTube. We now have a Patreon featuring exclusive subscriber content with tiers starting at just $2. I've been Ciarán.
And I've been Amber. We'll leave you with a clue for next week's episode.
We hope you'll be tuning in. After all, it can't hurt you to listen, can it?